Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hello. If you are not new here, what's up? It is pretty late. I don't know if you can see the time. Probably not. Let's see if you can see it now. Oh crap. It's 11:14. I just left the theater. I just saw Guardians of the Galaxy 3. This was the release date, so I went to a fully sold out theater to see it, and I kind of just want to give my first thoughts. I'm not gonna say there's not gonna be any spoilers here if you do plan to see it, because there just might be. Yeah, I usually when I leave movies I can say I liked it or I didn't like it. I am completely unsure how I feel about the movie. So I feel like because it was the last of that story, although I think that we are going to get some more of the characters in other ways, from what I understand, especially because of some of the post-credit scenes, I just feel like it tried to do a bit too much. And I'm used to Guardians of the Galaxy, like the first two movies, of course, being a bit more unorthodox than other movies in Marvel, but not necessarily, because in recent years there have been a few Marvel movies that have been real flops for me, like Thor. The last Thors, I guess it was the last two Thors at this point, were kind of a little too silly, a little too goofy, a little too different. I didn't really enjoy them because I think it took it a little bit too far for the storyline to even have any kind of substance for me. And I was pretty nervous when we were probably like 30 minutes into this movie. I kind of got that same feeling that I was unsure if I was going to get any level of substance for it. And I understand that some people, if you're going in to see a Guardians of the Galaxy movie, you know that it's going to give you the kind of silly comedy while also being superhero-ish, and maybe that's what you're looking for. And I did notice amongst the crowd of people that were in the theater watching the movie, they were quite young, and that kind of quirky humor was making them laugh, where it was making me like just stare. But I do think that they were more successful than I kind of imagined them to be with Gamora's character. So you do know that Gamora's character died, and then a past version of herself came back, but this version of herself doesn't love Quill in the way that the past version, but also future version of Gamora did love him. So you kind of get that feeling of, okay, is she going to come back to her past self that we knew in the future? This sounds crazy. What was she gonna come back to that? And they were pretty successful in keeping her true to her new character's character. She's not that nice, and in many ways seems the type of character that she would be given her influence of Thanos. So she kind of continued in that vein, and we did see her character develop a little bit, but not in the way that we think that she's ever, or I don't think that she's ever gonna come back around and love Quill in the way that we knew her to love Quill. I don't think that she's gonna have the depth of softness that the character of Gamora that we came to know will have, because this is a very different character. So I think that was successful, and some of the moments that meant to be funny in relation to that were a bit more funny, and I think that's because the character development there was pretty good, whereas some of the other comedic relief just felt misplaced, if that makes sense. So I think that's why I'm torn. There's so many things that I'm like, okay, this was well done, but it was really clouded by the silliness in a way. So who else was interesting? I think that sure, you had to have this huge villain of the movie. So I think that, what was his name? Oh my god, what was his name? Evolutionist? I think his name was the Evolutionist, Evolutionary, and whatever his name was, whatever the guy with the peeled off face, his name was, very much he obviously had a very big god complex and wanted to control things and create this utopian society, which is how we find out Rocket's backstory anyway. So Rocket, I think, in both of the movies prior to this and then the other times in which he showed up in the Marvel universe, I think that he is one of the better characters. So getting his backstory was nice, and almost as if I didn't really feel like this was necessarily a Guardians of the Galaxy 3. I kind of felt like this was Rocket's movie. And maybe that's just because I felt like that was so successful. Like, it felt like this is Rocket's movie, and the fact that the Guardians of the Galaxy play a part of this, only play a part of this because they relate to Rocket, if that makes sense. So perhaps this would have been more successful in my mind if you had just done a movie with Rocket, like a spin-off movie of Rocket. But I don't really know if that's something that really could be done within the Marvel universe. Whatever. So the evolutionist, evolutionary, whatever the heck the man's name is, obviously he had this really big god complex, but it felt as though, I mean, I'm not going to get too deep into it, but even when his own people turned against him because they didn't understand what was his obsession with getting Rocket back, and studying Rocket, it felt very much that way as an audience member too. Like, okay, we get it. We get that he wants to study Rocket because Rocket has been the most successful of his life's mission. If his life's mission is to create this utopian society of these new creatures that he's created, the only one that's been able to be successful intelligently is Rocket. So yes, if you've devoted your whole life to this, of course you will become obsessed. But he became so obsessed to the point that it was almost as if he was willing to lose all the other things that he worked for just for Rocket. And so that felt a little bit extreme, and it didn't make sense. It got to the point for me where it was nonsensical because we didn't get enough of the evolutionist, whatever the heck that man's name, story to understand why he even wanted to. I mean, do you really need to know why someone has a god complex? Yeah, because we don't even really know where he came from. Unless I missed that, we don't really know where he came from. It seems as if, unless I missed some things in the story, unless I missed some shows on Disney Plus or some movies, which I don't think I have, we don't really know where he came from as a villain. We don't really know why this is his goal. So like, he's created these other societies, he created this counter earth with these creatures that he created, but of course they're not perfect, so he's willing to just destroy it all in the quest for perfection, but at the same time was willing to destroy everything entirely in the quest for Rocket. But we don't know why, and I think that was a bit bothersome because you're 2.5 hours of a movie that you don't even really understand why this is the goal in the first place. So I think that was a little bit bothersome for me, but I did enjoy Rocket's story, which is why I think that it felt like Rocket's movie. I did, yeah, it did pull on emotions. Like, it did evoke emotion from Rocket's story, but only that, really. And then at the end, when the when the group very much disbanded, there was some emotion there because you understand why the ones that went away from the Guardians had to go away and why they were on their own personal quest of fulfillment, and they couldn't get that within the Guardians of the Galaxy. That all makes sense. They all went back to those things that they very much need within themselves. So all in all, it was okay. It was okay, but I think that it could have been better, and I think that we could have gotten a stronger piece as the last piece of this Guardians of the Galaxy story as a whole. We could have gotten a better overall story for the Guardians of the Galaxy because, again, I feel like we got Rocket and the Guardians of the Galaxy and although he's a member of the Guardians of the Galaxy, he's obviously not the Guardians of the Galaxy whole. Now, I do understand as the other characters broke away, especially Quill, he's now become the captain of that, but he's not the full Guardians of the Galaxy. So we got Rocket and then Guardians of the Galaxy on the outside. Like, they were just kind of, to me, a very small side story. So that felt wrong for me. So all in all, it was okay. It wasn't my favorite. It wasn't really what I was expecting. And the second after credit scene just felt like pointless. Like, it felt entirely pointless. If you wanted us to know that Star-Lord or Quill was going to come back, you could have just, frankly, you could have done that in a better way. Because unless I'm just confused, it felt very much empty. So that's what I think as of 11/24 at night after seeing it on opening night. I don't think that I'll go to see it again, because there are very much some movies that I feel like I want to see again to see if there's anything there. But I don't think there's anything there. I don't think there's anything, any big themes that I missed, unless, I just don't think there's anything there. So I give it like a 5 out of 10. Maybe that's being harsh, but that's where I am. I'm gonna go to sleep because I'm very much exhausted. So bye.